much. Love you so much. Mwah. All right, you guys, we're going to take time and get ready for Tamara. I'm going to pop this on and tell everybody thank you for being here. So here's the thing. Tamara is in high demand, and she carved out a little piece for the coffee break show today. And what happened with the coffee break show today is she said, look, I can be on, but I'm going to be on as the show comes on. She's going to pop back into the virtual space as soon as she is done with her current show that she is doing right now. She is on air doing a live show with a SAP. So what I want to tell you about Tamara, I want to make sure that you absolutely know that Tamara's in the house, and I'm going to just pull Tamara up like this, but this poor woman has been busy every day. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being in the show. Listen, Tamara and I haven't spoken. We made this thing, and she was so busy and I was so busy. Thank you for putting us into your day. Everybody's been, where's Tamara? Where's Tamara? Where's Tamara?
Oh,
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up. So, Tamara, I was just telling them about you, and I want to continue doing that. I want to let you know we're using StreamYard, so we're going live on 5 platforms at once. So you're live on YouTube, live on here, and live on everything else. And we're just going to have fun today. We have a boatload of people that are going to be coming on, and you will also get to be in the conversation. People are going to be here just so excited about you coming. They're like, where's Tamara? Where's Tamara? So I want to let you know, relax, people. She's here. We have her for an hour. I want to welcome you to the Coffee Break Show in the middle of it. Thank you for being here. Tamara, I want to introduce you the way I know you, because I think that you're a disruptor. And one of the things that I like about that is where you are in the industry. Thulium she's the CEO of Thulium. Tamara's been in Forbes. She's been on stages everywhere, thousands of people. I know most of you know her. But one of the best, coolest things about Tamara, I mean, the best, coolest thing, if you aren't friends with her on Facebook, go be friends with her, because when she travels, wherever she is, she creates this amazing travel log. She takes you with her. You get to see on stage when she's speaking. You get to see where she was. And my favorite one, Tamara, was when you went to China. Obviously, that was like, I was like, that was a informative and travel blog as well. And so I think this might be one of your buddies over here. Deborah. Oh, I'm sorry. Here we go. Deborah Jason. I think this is you. Listen, good morning, you lovely lady. Sending hugs. Thank you very much. So a part of me is so excited today because we're going to be talking about technologies that are set to change the world, technologies that are set to change the world. That's so exciting. And I want to let you know, Tamara, the thing has gone off the chart today. There's so many people replying so fast. I mean, so
I was looking over at the comment stream going, is my mom on? Because you said I was a disruptor, and I was afraid my mom's going to go, yeah. No. Oh. Yes, I invited my mom. She's active on Facebook. So
you go, Mom. Nice to see you here. And we're like, hi, Deborah. Everybody's on. Thank you very much. So Tamara, the first couple of things I'd like to know is I kind of want, like, what's the state of the art? What's the state of the union of technology, and what does it mean? I just want to, step in and let you have the reins of this conversation, and let's see where it goes from here. Let's give it I'm sorry, I have to stop for a second. I just want you to know your mom's here.
Hi, Mom.
She's like, hi, yes, Mom, I'm here. So I just want to let you know. All right.
I invited my daughter too, but I'm not sure if she's showing up because they're doing the school from home thing. So, but I figured it's Facebook, right? We're all family here, so we might as well interact as family.
Well, let's go to the State of the Union of Technology, and let's dive into something that's, what are the technologies that you think are set to change the world? And thank you for joining us.
Yeah, no, it's my pleasure. And gosh, it's such an honor you guys all showed up for me. It's pretty cool. How embarrassing would it be if you show up, no one comes, right? I always say every time I'm gonna go do a keynote, I'm like, what if nobody comes? But no, it's an honor to be here with you. And what I'd like to do is share with you at first kind of a recap of technologies that are already somewhat here, but are going to get stronger. And then what I'd like to kind of end on before we have our discussion is what I think the most dominant mover of technology for the future will be. So,
Ooh, interesting.
this stuff really lights me up. This is my passion. This is, we'll talk about this later, but I shared this with you. This is why I'm going back yet again to graduate school, because of this. So essentially what we have here already is, I don't know how many of you already have like an Alexa or a Google, or, we have these digital assistants. Well, they're in the beginning stages, right? So right now, this thing is kind of just like a call and response tool. And I don't know if you've had this experience or not, but sometimes you ask it something and it answers you completely different from what you asked. It's almost like talking to your hard of hearing great grandfather, right? Where you say, hey, the answer's back something else. So, we're still in the beginning stages, but what I want to say is, since we're talking about the future here, is it's not going to stay like this. It's not going to stay a call and response tool. In fact, our digital assistants are going to become very savvy. We're going to rely on them, and they will actually go out and execute and do things for us without even us having to ask it. So that is in the works, and we will definitely see that within the next 10 years.
I want to go back to the they'll do tasks for us without even asking. Like one day we'll come home and the garbage will be out.
Well, what it might do is tell your little robot trash can to wheel itself out there, right? Because what we're talking about with this is software, but software will run, hardware will run robotics. So robotics is farther behind than software. And so when I get into the discussion of artificial intelligence, I want to be really clear. What I'm going to talk about is algorithms, software. Okay. Because a lot of times people think of like, the robot. And we know trying to design something after our own image is a little bit bumpy. But what I want to tell everyone is that this is going to become much more sophisticated. So a good example, Vickie, might be, instead of you having to worry about, do I need more milk, or do I need eggs, or, I want to make this, Indian dish on Thursday, but I don't have, the marsala that I need. Yeah. This will make sure it's ordered and you already have it at home. So you don't have to think about it. It will be able to answer emails for us. How many of us would love to have someone answer our emails for us?
Oh, I would, right off the bat.
Good. I think Candy Wood is on. She logged on. She's my chief of staff here at Thulium, and I bet you she wishes somebody who would answer my email. I'm telling on myself here, right? So you have to know my style is self-deprecation because there's a lot to laugh about here. But so we'll have that moving forward. We talk about personalization, and for those of us who are consumers, what that means is, how many of us are tired of getting targeted advertising that has nothing to do with what we're interested in?
Correct.
And it will become so exquisite that we won't see anything that we don't want to see. That's how personalized it will be. And it gets even more personalized when we go into the technology that's set to roll out here. And it's already, trust me, I've seen it. It's already in process. It's just getting finer tuned, and that is augmented reality. So a lot of us think of augmented reality and virtual reality in gaming, right? Because gaming is, miles ahead. But we're going to see other aspects of AR and VR, such as right now, Vickie, we could be having this, and all of us, instead of it being flat screen to flat screen in a comments bar,
wow,
we could be sitting together all in one room, hanging out. And that is going to happen. And you know what else is going to happen? What's missing now? What?
That's amazing. It's amazing what you just said. I mean, talk about live events.
Yeah. Well, and what'll be great is you'll never have to get on an airplane. But we know what's missing now. I don't know if you've ever played a game or put on an AR or VR headset. What's missing now is the tactile sensation, right? So
Mhm.
we human beings, we experience our environment through touch and sight. And it's
Mhm.
the combination of auditory, so sound, visual, sight,
Mhm.
and touch that make
Mhm.
us feel actuated into the experience. So it makes us feel like we're there. And what's missing
Yeah.
right now with AR and VR is, we can see it, but we can't feel it. And so
Yes.
we know it's not real. But what's going to happen as we advance in our technological, evolution here, is when we have more and more increased speeds with 5G technology, we're going to be able to have something called the tactile internet. And the tactile internet is exactly that, where it's now going to infuse the sensation of touch. And get this, it will
Wow.
infuse the sensation of smell as well, because smell also puts us someplace, right?
Okay, so
So
how far is that smell technology kind of thing out? Because to me, olfactory is different than, hands-on tactile where you can feel it because that sensation becomes real. And I was like, wow, that is really interesting. All of this it's mind-blowing what you're saying.
well, what's interesting is how many of us like to post food pics,
Yeah, I
right?
know. I
So,
hear you.
okay, but this is horrible because you guys know I struggle on my keto lifestyle, and I see all of your posts out there with all these delicious things that a lot of them I can't have, and if I could smell them, I'd be in so much trouble. But yeah, I mean, I think one thing I'd like to say to everyone is anything that we want to roll our eyes at, like, right, or
Yeah.
no, that can't happen. That's exactly when you should pay attention,
Yeah.
because how many people 50 years ago, okay, no, 20 years ago, could imagine what it is that we have now, right? So what I want to
Yeah.
say is, what makes you and I feel like we're so much more superior to them? I'm telling you, we cannot envision what's to come. And we are not
Wow.
that, I always just say, come on, if you really think you're kidding yourself. And this is why I want this to be a mainstream conversation, because things are set in motion. We have, like, I'm talking about things like AR, VR contact lenses, right? Where you're going to
Wow.
be personalized, your marketing is going to be personalized right there in your visual field. You could be walking by a store and your biometrics are being measured. So your biometrics say that you're dehydrated, you're thirsty, your
Wow.
heart rate's up a little bit, you are a little stressed out. And because it knows you so well, it really knows what you'd like is, say, I don't like to product place here because I don't work for products, but, say your favorite beverage.
Mhm.
Since my mom's on, I'll say, hey, mom, it's 5 o'clock, it's after work, and it's your favorite IPA. Okay.
Yeah.
Just saying. So you not only does it come into your visual field, mom, but you can see it, but you can hear the beer being poured, and
Oh,
you
yeah.
can smell the hops, right? And all of a sudden you're like, I'm going in there and I'm going to stop and get a pint, right? So I'm going to have a pint right now. This smells good. This is great. So
Mhm.
boom, that's how fast it works. And so, I think that, these are all coming to a world near you
I have
very
to say
soon.
this, is because what you're saying is just absolutely mind-blowing, but I have to tell you the story. I think it was junior high, and it was when I was in junior high, it was 19 when I was in junior high. And we were in this reel-to-reel film, and in the film, they said, in the future, you're going to be able to get on the phone and not only just listen to somebody, but see them. And you're going to be able to do it through this TV screen. And I remember thinking, no way. And they're going to be like, yes, you'll be able to talk to this person over here and over there. Now, this was way back then. And at the time, it stuck in my head because it sounded so far-fetched.
Right?
This is back when there was, yes, dial phone, but it was so far-fetched at that time. And we are looking at innovations right now that are going to be changing how we spend our time, how we spend our day, sculpting our day. And some of it I could see more productivity and things like that. But of course, I want to continue this conversation. And I would love to know if you have any ideas about, how is blockchain playing into any of this? If it is, because I don't know much about that technology. I do know algorithms and AI, and what other things are coming out to help us like work or maybe entrepreneurial. How are things going to innovate in that area? And I'm so fascinated, and I want to let you know the chat box is just going off the chart right here. It's imagine hearing the beer being poured, smelling the hops. It's like, talk about creating desire, or even the Dick Tracy watch people are talking about. And I'm over here. Thank you for joining us, Charlotte. And your Candy over here is like, it will humanize things we never imagined. It's like stepping into Iron Man's suit. And I was like, wow, that's so incredible, because there's a lot of it. How is it helping medicine? It's so vast what you're talking about, and so empowering to human potential as well.
It is vast. And there's so much we could talk about. It's just incredible. Like, there's not even enough time in an hour. But what I wanted to do is answer your question quickly about blockchain, and then move to the next technologies that we're building on into. But just so you know, and anyone out there, when you hear the word blockchain, think of it as a digital ledger. So, like an accountant, my mom used to be an accountant and a bookkeeper, so she would know this. When you have a ledger, you can document and follow things. So blockchain is just a digital ledger. And where it comes into and where it really comes into play is a lot of things. So, for instance, think about we'll be able to track say the supply chain. And the supply chain, what I mean by that is when you go to the grocery store and you buy your milk, the supply chain was everything from the cow that it took to get that milk there, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So a great example of how supply chain can do a lot of things. One thing is authenticate where the source came from. Is there's a lot of fraud in olive oil. So globally, when you go to the store and buy olive oil, you don't know that you're actually getting pure olive oil, because there are cheaper ways to do other things to it. So one of the ways blockchain can authenticate what it is that you're getting is real is it can actually show it's a digital ledger that cannot be changed, that shows exactly where those olives came from, what grove they were growing in, and what part of Italy. So it's really helpful when you look at that. It's helpful when a company is, say, with COVID-19 hitting, and there was a lot of disruption in the supply chain because manufacturing was down. If you had a blockchain, you could actually quickly figure out what other sources you could get your products from, and where they were coming from, and track it and intercept it all the way where there might be problems, say, with delivery, with trucks, with truck drivers not being able to drive, and can we get it on a train versus how do we put it in cargo on a plane? So blockchain is huge, but think of it as a digital ledger. And the next thing I was going to talk about was, you had mentioned these virtual conferences and meetings; those will happen.
Yeah.
And think of the next thing we talked about was robots, but think about tiny, tiny, tiny microscopic robots like nanotechnology. So think if you had a little teeny microscopic robot that could go in and fix something that's wrong with you or your cells, so that you no longer experience your problem. So, say in the case of like rheumatoid arthritis, you could have a nanobot go into your body, be injected in or swallowed in pill form, and go in and eradicate all the inflammation within your body and help your immune system to rewrite itself so that it doesn't attack itself. So nanotech will be huge. And think about swallowing a little pill of robots that go in and fix things. There'll be machines marketing to machines. So remember I talked about your exquisite digital assistant? Companies will have to market to the platforms that run these things, because you're never going to see their product or service unless your digital assistant allows you to see it, because it's going to keep out all the spam, and it's going to go, nope, nope, nope. I want best product, best price, and best reviews.
Wow, that and the thing I want to say, especially in regards to blockchain and this thing that you just said, the thing that came to my heart that really is exciting for me is imagining all the corruption that this is going to eliminate.
Mm-hmm.
The buying that thing and not getting it, the the best products, best reviews, the amount of shift these things are going to cause. And somebody, I see you guys' questions. I'm going to put them up in a second. This is so, there's hope in the conversation with you right now. And I can feel my heart literally be feeling all this hope for the future that, why isn't this mainstream conversation right now? Why isn't this in front of the news screens right now? Why is it all this terroristic conversation when there's so much hope in this conversation that it's like you can transform? We're in such a big transformation right now. Tamara, I want to go over here and ask this question. Karen says, Tamara, how will advanced technologies impact human relationship? And I thought that was a great question. And everybody else below that, there's so many of you, and I want to get as much as I can from her. Tamara, we're headed straight into this. I want to answer this question, then I want to continue with the conversation we're having, because there's so many exciting things. And like she said, we could talk about this a lot, but we only have her for a little time, guys. So well, this is it's so fascinating to talk about this right now. So how is it going to be affecting human relationships right now?
It's going to affect. It was Karen who asked that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a great question, because think of how technology so far has shifted our relationships. Like we're all online
dating, online, right? Here. Yep.
And so look how social media has reshaped relationships. Look how social media has changed the landscape for people who are single or young kids. I mean, I have teenagers, and I can see how, back when I was their age, if you had someone that you were interested in and you were, going steady, God, this is going to date me, right?
Yeah.
You only really talked with each other or saw each other at school. But now, I mean, the playing field is huge. So I see a lot of young people not necessarily staying in long-term relationships because they have unlimited access to all kinds of opportunity at every moment. And then, all the apps. So, I think that, there's a lot of industries that I think that are changing relationships, and, probably can't talk about this on, Facebook Live, but, just think of like, how the easy access to porn and such for young people has really changed their ability to have a very satisfying real human being relationship. So these are real topics, and you mentioned a lot of hope, and I wanted to tell you guys, I do have a lot of hope. This is why I want to talk about this. This is why I want to go back to school about this. This is why I think it should be a mainstream conversation, but I'm not wearing rose-colored glasses. I'm telling you, with great power comes great responsibility. And this is why it is absolutely necessary that we do not abdicate our voice to others, hoping they do the right thing. Because in the end, I'm sorry, but it's about money. And companies will innovate and create inventions that they can sell to make money. And it doesn't mean those creations are good. And it's up to us to start raising our voices and asking questions. We need policy. I want to be involved in policy shaping globally, because it's going to affect the economies globally. And you're going to see a wider divide between the haves and the have-nots, because where we're headed is human augmentation. And what I mean by that is we're all already augmented if we have a mobile phone, because that is AI in our pockets and purses.
That's right.
And we can't live without it. How many of us want to go without a day without our phone? No, we are augmented. And I always say, we have been assimilated, and resistance is futile. I mean, it's already happened. right? So where we're headed with neural implants, which here's the high side, here's the good side. And that is, say you or a loved one is having memory deficits, or you're starting to not remember things, or
Sure.
you have a bad concussion and you have memory difficulties now from an accident. You could have a neural implant, which means you would never lose a memory. You would never not have access to your memories, to what knowledge you've attained over your lifetime. Any book that you've read, you would have instant recall. I mean, okay, let me ask this, Vickie, of your audience right now.
Yep.
For
you guys listening?
If you had the opportunity, a choice was presented before you where you could be augmented with an AI neural implant where you would never lose your memory, you would have access to anything that you need, who would take it and who would not? I'd like to show, you say yes or no. You take it, yes or no. And Vickie, you tell me let me take a look, see if I can follow comments. It's hard for me to track.
Yeah, they're really, really coming in. I'm going to take a look. I would
yes
buy
or no?
the shirt. Yeah, spread. Okay. Yes or no, you guys, yes or no on this. And right now there's firing. Let's see, neural implants. I got a yes over here. I said no. I said no to it.
What's interesting, Vickie, is I'll ask my audiences this, and you'll see a few hands go up for yes. And I tell the rest of you, so Vickie, the minute one person does, you don't have a choice. Because how are you going to compete with augmented human beings?
You're right. You're right. I get that.
So there is no choice once somebody takes it. And here's the thing. So super intelligence does not equal super emotional intelligence. Just because you make someone really smart to have access to all knowledge at all times does not mean that they're emotionally healthy.
And that's the point. That's why I had my no, because I realized for me, it's very simple. It's like there are aspects of me that are myself. I have a brain. I'm not my brain. I have knowledge, but that's not where wisdom comes from, or discernment. And where does that come from? For me, it's the soul. And I got to tell you something, my hair stood up, because when you've been talking here, Tamara, this is what I'm really pleased with. I have thought for over time that the thing that technology is obliterating in humanity is discernment. And to me, this conversation, that's what you brought to the table. You said, here it is. Here's all of everything. And it's all great. And it can be all about money. And here's discernment. It's not just, so if you could have this and you could do all of that, I guess I finally came to a point in my life where I'm not afraid to die as me. And that it's like, whatever that is, to whatever that spiritual journey, I realize for me, I am a spiritual being having a human experience. And in this human experience, we could augment the body. Now, I got to tell you something. I'm very excited about what technology is doing for occupational therapy and for physical therapy and for people who have brain injuries and for people who have, and you're right. The key thing that you just said that it's hard for me to accept, but the truth is if one person says yes, I remember when I have a degree in accounting and finance. That's what I did. And I went to college back when the computer was being phased in and doing it by hand was being phased out. But in order for me to graduate, I had to do both. And I remember the first guy I worked for, and I was doing accounting for him by hand. And he said, I'm never going to get one of those computers ever. And now everybody had it. And I remember when he got one, he was like, this is so much easier. Yes, you are right. It happens. And that's just the way it is. And you're right. We cannot lose our voice for that. We cannot lose. I don't want to lose my humanness, but more than that, I don't want to lose my discernment in all of those things. Lastly, I want to mention she does have kids, and one of them just had a birthday. And so I just want to say happy birthday to them as well. When we were talking about it, you were like, I have kids. And I was like, yes.
I am so lucky. I know. I think I learned more from them. But yeah, my son just turned 20. So I posted that it feels weird to be the mother of a man. It's so weird. But it's funny because that same son, my son Parker, he said to me about this whole neural implant. He's like, Mom, make it stop. I was like, honey, I wish I was that powerful. But no, I mean, I do want to say, Vickie, that what you just said, everything you just said is the exact reason why I'm going back to school. And
it's brilliant. Thank you so much for, I mean, it's brave. It's brave.
Because there are a lot of people that would love to crucify me for having a voice that of caution. Because think about it, going up against big business, people usually want to silence you. And so, I have to put my big girl pants on, but you know what? Something wild and wonderful happens after menopause. You just don't care anymore.
You got that right, sister. I want to say right here.
I'm not here to please.
That's right.
I'm here to do something with this life, this blessing, this gift I've been given. And, I think when you're younger, you care more about what people think. And
you do. After a while, you don't. You figure out where the soul of you is, and you act from that. Tamara, this is a big deal right here. What you just said is a big deal. This is where most people don't get to. Now, I want to tell you something. The reason we do these live shows and everything else, we decided we wanted to take on the industry of media because there's fake news agenda and everything, and it's not real, and there's a lack of discernment and everything else. Now we're headed into this conversation, and I want to go down the rabbit hole with this because it's like when you're at this point, one of the things Robin just said, she said, you can't compete. We've been augmented for decades. Think steroids, think implants, and that's, we don't stop the machine. We may not be able to stop the machine, but we can give somebody else other decisions in the machine. We can provide other people with wisdom and education in the machine. It's brave what you're doing. It's very brave. And I really know that from taking that on. And the second thing is the way you educate people about technology and what it's about, because I'm very clear. The amount of what I want to talk about is everybody's looking at these things and thinking, oh, they're fun and they're really cool and I got to have one. And yet to me, I'm looking at the surveillance aspect of it and saying it's following me on my every move. And it does not bring me another choice that I don't want to see. And how is that impacting? How am I getting so close-minded if everything in front of me is only what I see, what I believe, what I want, whatever? Doesn't it validate and strengthen your ego to the point where you may not be as open-minded as before? And how do you think technology is helping us do that as well? I mean, I'm just going to go out down that rabbit hole with you.
No, you and I could go down a lot of rabbit holes. I love the way you think. First of all, we are moving toward a surveillance state, and it's being sugar coated for our own benefit, for our ease, for it's giving you all. You're ever getting a sales pitch and you're getting all the benefits. We need to start thinking about, again, there's not all good. Where there's light, there's shadow. So you have to think about what does this really mean? And I think that we are distracted as a society. We want what we want, and we want it now, and we want it easy. We want it convenient, and we don't want to be inconvenienced, for heaven's sake. So what's happening is we are distracted and we are spoiled. And
yes, we are.
We will actually, I call it, I come from a very spiritual background, and I was, also went to a Baptist university undergrad. So forgive me, but I had to actually, diagram sentences in King James Version. But there's a story, from the Bible that I think, there's history repeats itself, right? And I think that we're repeating ourselves, and we are headed toward, I believe, destruction unless we stop.
That's
I really do.
Thank you for saying it.
It's
Do you hear that?
and
Truth 101 right here. That's the whole point. And somebody brave enough to say it in the industry. Oh my gosh, my hair is standing up. Keep going, Tamara.
Well, what we're doing is because we're spoiled and we want what we want, and just because we want it doesn't mean it's good for us. I think what's happening is we are sacrificing our birthright for a bowl of soup. And that's exactly what's happening. And if I'm allowed to drop a bomb for you guys to get you thinking, is that AI is the dominant technology of the future. So what I mean by AI is the ability of a machine or computer program to think and learn, right? Like a human. So machines being algorithms, and what's going on is these algorithms iterate on themselves. That means they rewrite themselves and make themselves better without human intervention, right? Without human intervention. So what this means is that, we could actually experience, all right, say we succeed. We do develop artificial intelligence that surpasses human intelligence, okay? So we succeed. Then what happens? And what I think—
now what?
And so what it means is that we are maybe setting up for ourselves the most catastrophic event for humanity. Because think about it, Google already is creating these programs, this AI that can correct itself and rewrite itself so quickly that we can't keep up or see it. And here's the other thing that people don't think of, is that when computer programs are rewriting themselves and learning and making themselves better, faster than we can monitor, we don't know what the outcome is going to be. And here's the problem people don't think about. And that is, when we set an algorithm out, we give it a goal. Here's where the problem exists. The computer doesn't have discernment like you do. Okay,
that's correct.
So it will do anything. It will do anything to achieve its mission without that discernment, which might be, I'm just saying this, but humanity, we're kind of a virus on the world. So what's to stop the machines from figuring out that we're in the way to achieve the mission? Man.
That's so important it's so important what you're saying. Part of the I think I may get this wrong. I think it was Elon Musk who was saying that AI is the most dangerous thing we could have or do on that. And I remember believing that as well. But I have noted, and a very, very noted, I think the difference between the algorithms previous and AI algorithms are starting to impose themselves right now. You can see it in companies where, and this is the thing that I think is really the disconnect between AI and people. When you get into customer service or customer support and you lose your humanity, trust me, you will lose your company later. If you lose that human to human thing, and the thing with AI is you can tell when you're in that Zen desk support thing in the back where it's going in autopilot and autopilot and autopilot, and you cannot get through to a person. You cannot get through to the thing it wants to do or the thing you want to do, or you never get a person. That missing discernment. I think some of the ways that we are connecting with AI are they're not healthy for business. And sometimes I think they are healthy for business, but there's such a fine line. It's really walking the razor's edge at this point. And the razor's edge, one of the things that I want to talk about right now, because it's so important to me, I am super blessed, and I know you are too. I am super blessed. But you said there is going to be a larger disparity between wealth, that wealth gap, that inequality gap. And I have been noticing for myself, Tamara, I think the future is about erasing the middle class in every country. And for me, you have only two choices. You'll either get poorer or richer, and that's it. And that right now is a very key time in history, this window of opportunity to make that choice. And I want to know, what do you see in the future between that disparity? How can people, and what about third world countries and things like that? There's so much. And Tamara, I know it's almost to the top. Are you okay to keep going?
What time is it? Yes,
All right,
yep,
great,
I can.
good. Thank you.
Candy will insert herself if I can't.
I'll be looking for that, Candy. But as
Candy,
long as she's here with us.
You know how
Okay.
I get carried away on this topic, so you better jump in.
But this is such an important aspect of the topic. And you guys on the side, I love you so much. I see you all talking. I know she's here, and I just want to keep having the conversation. Thank you for being with us and being in the conversation. Fascinating conversation. I knew it would be, because Tamara is fascinating.
Aww.
Yes, she is. We have to maintain human to human connection. Okay, we're going to answer these questions that I just asked her, and let's talk about the disparity and what your views are about the future of wealth creation and destruction.
Yeah, I mean, this is why it's so complicated. It's a very complicated social science question you're asking, because it's technology that's both wonderful and liberating and fascinating, that's also causing the divide, because not everybody can afford the technology.
That's correct.
So think about the augmentation we talked about with the neural implant. Not everybody can afford the neural implant.
Sure.
And so what we'll have is a super intelligent
superhuman.
But I said not super emotionally
intelligent. There's a vast difference.
So not high EQ, but high IQ, right? Because of augmentation.
You bet.
And then we have those that can't afford the augmentation, who will
not be able to compete.
No, and they'll be considered very slow, less intelligent. Okay, so how do we as humans already treat people we view as less intelligent than ourselves?
It's so unfortunate.
I wish I had more faith in humanity, but again, I go back to history. If you go back to history, we are not so kind to others that we deem less valuable, or, like, again, this is not a high EQ subject, this is the IQ. Someone thinks they're really intelligent. What do we need with all these people who, and do they even deserve a voice? Do they even deserve to vote? They're not smart. They're not intelligent. They don't know what we know.
We have judgment. That's the killer of any kind of discernment.
And there's no easy answer. And this is why graduate school, right? Yeah. So it's steeped in ethics. It's steeped in social science.
Yep.
It's steeped in human anthropology, because I'm telling you, not when you look historically at all these stories and studies that I've been pondering, is that, people tend to not be so kind to other people. And, gosh, we just saw this with the pandemic, people hoarding toilet paper and hand sanitizer. And it's just human nature, and we're not going to change human nature. And I'm sorry, but human beings are not perfect. As much as people would like to say we're all loving and all good and all perfect,
we're not too altruistic. That's right.
No, we're selfish at heart.
Yeah.
This is the human condition. So, one of the books that I read by Stuart Russell, it's called Human Compatible. And he talks about what our future scenarios, if we take a serious look, how, we're bent on innovating ourselves, basically innovating ourselves out of ourselves, essentially, with age extension and things. He says we have these possible scenarios. So number one scenario, and guys, listen to this because I'd love to hear what you think. So the first scenario he posits that could happen for our future is we all die. Either an asteroid impact, climate calamity, or global pandemic. Or number two, we live forever because of the medical solution to aging. Or three, we invent a faster than light travel scenario and we conquer the universe. Maybe we inhabit Mars. Or four, we are visited by a super alien civilization. Or number five, he says, we invent super intelligent AI. Which of these scenarios, you guys, do you think is most likely to manifest? I'd love to hear people's opinion.
Did you guys hear that question? Go ahead and type it in there right now so we can, this is, oh my goodness.
What do
Wow.
you think? What do you think, Vickie? What do you think is most likely to manifest?
I was, out of all the choices, I think it's going to be the AI choice. And the reason I do is because I feel like it's going to be all about money. And the other things, even though they're altruistic in nature, profitability and revenues are going to be on the back end of that. And those are going to be in the AI markets, in my humble opinion. But right, EQ, the discernment filter. Ooh, this is very interesting. All
Scott.
5. Go, Scott. Wow, that is in. Oh,
Scott's
look at this.
Scott's my Mensa friend. So smart.
He is. Look at this. And look at this. Risa, all of the above. Wow.
Oh, Risa.
And then look at this. Sounds like a war on the classes. Those who can afford tech upgrades will get those and lose their humanity and destroy it. And so what we're looking at is what do you believe is going to happen after that? Okay. Right here, given enough time, all 5 will happen. Brilliantly done. Look at this. ET is here. Yes, we are down the rabbit hole today. This is an important conversation, such an important, being the multiverses does exist scientifically. They will all 5 happen over time. Look at this. I agree, all 5. I still thought AI would be the, big catapult right there, but everybody thinks all 5 will happen over time is what we kind of have over here in this regard. Tell us what your vision, what you see, what your thoughts are around these questions right here.
Well, you're right, Vickie, and they're right, because AI will drive all of those things, including, think of AI this way, AI will be that alien race. So AI drives all of it. But here's the thing. What if we do succeed, right? Success could be the last event in human history. And it's up to all of us to become involved. We have to become involved in how new tech is developed and unleashed on the world. So AI conversations belong in the mainstream as it's, the most important thing facing humanity. So, but it's our fault. We're not insisting that we have a voice. We don't need an invitation to dinner. We had better just be there. Okay. So if you're waiting around for someone to ask you what your opinion is, well, you've missed the mark. We have to anticipate and plan for the possibility that machines will far exceed the human capacity for decision making, because it is already. And if you think I'm being negative on AI, I am not. And I'm not a doomsday sayer, not in the least. If anyone really knows me, they know I'm positive.
You are. I know you outside, way positive. What's interesting though is the kind of conversations that we have to have. I think the future, the whole time that you've been talking about the creation, my goal in this conversation is to provide discernment. And that is the thing that you're bringing to the table right now. But what's interesting about, what's fascinating, what I'm telling myself, I'm asking myself is, why are we pursuing it? What do we want? What do we want? Why are we so fascinated with matching and exceeding in human intelligence? And you said something very early. One of the things that's here is there is the light and there is the shadow, and nobody wants to go look at this. Nobody wants to examine. Nobody wants to say the why, the what, the where. Nobody wants to come clean with how their ego is in the disruption. I know right now that one of the things that was fascinating, just fascinating about Apple, is that they made their device, that first smartphone, something that made your ego feel proud. Where in the 60s, if you had like a Ford Mustang car and the car made you proud, now the technology makes you proud. Now I'm like, if I augmented the reality and I was the smarter than anyone, and I'm, that would make me something, that would make me finally, I'm somebody important. I'm somebody, the value of humanness, the value of your own basic goodness as a human being Don't let it be devalued because you have a piece of technology. Technology with discernment. I think what's very important about what you said, my hair is standing up when you said it. The future is going to be an ethics situation. And if we have greed and corruption and this over here with that ethics, then AI can be super destructive. And if we have some sense of ourselves, some own sense of our value, then AI can add some benefit to the world and lots of it. So which is it going to be and which is going to happen? That is the thing we're actually really talking about right now. And that lack of discernment. She said something earlier that was so important. And you guys have to understand this. She said, high IQ, low EQ. And what is it that really, it's like, I'm really smart and I have really awful tantrums. It's like, you can't work with that. That's not a good future. You know what I mean?
That's called a 3-year-old.
Yeah, that's it. And so it's like, once you think you're above it all because you're so smart, that next thing she said will happen is judgmentality. Do they even deserve to vote? Do they even deserve? You start seeing your ego becomes more godlike versus more, and you know, the ego is something fake anyway, but that's the point of everything. It's like, we don't buy really fancy cars just to prove we're successful. It makes us feel good. It's this thing that tells ourselves every day, look at me, I'm in my Jaguar or whatever. We lose our humanity. We lose our fundamental basic goodness. We lose connection to our heart, and we lose the race. I just want to go over here. This is so important right here. Ego keeps us stuck in the human condition. Yes, that is. And I'm assuming that might be Deborah. I'm not sure, but whoever it is, that is true. Some of us are really moving into the ascension stage. Yes, there's going to be real ascension and false ascension from all of this technology. I got to tell you, Tamara, when I first talked to you, I want to let you know, Tamara's not easy to get a hold of. I think it took me 12 weeks to get her scheduled for this moment in time. And I'm so thankful. I'm so blessed to have you here. But the interesting thing is, what is it that, if, like you said, here's 3 things I want to tell you to create discernment about the future of technology. Like, if you could give humanity 3 things and say, don't lose this, do this, so that they understand the interaction between technology and humanness, what would those 3 things be? I know then nobody's asked you that question. Do you understand the question?
No, I totally understand it. I just,
Great.
it's like I can only pick 3. Woo, I better, because there's a
5?
lot. But let me say, first of all, the first question would be, what's your role in this? You, individually, each one of you, what's your role in this? Because the biggest problem I see is that we're in a modern world with a lot of demands on our time and on our resources, emotional too, is that we don't, you know, we say we believe this, we say we care about that, we don't want this to happen, we want that to happen, but we don't do anything to make, we don't stand behind our beliefs because we're busy, we're tired. Somebody else will take care of it.
Yeah,
we abdicate our responsibility. And this is why we're in the situation we're already in. We've abdicated our responsibility, hoping somebody else will clean up that mess, clean up the homelessness, clean up this, clean up that. Somebody do something. But what are we doing? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So my first thing of your 3 is, what are you doing? What's your role in this? How are you making it so that we all wake up to a tomorrow that we're happy to wake up in? I want to know what you're doing. Number 2 is, I would say, look at how you're distracted in your everyday and really take a look at what takes up most of your mental and emotional energy. Because I'm telling you that I think we are being distracted on purpose.
I agree.
And I want maybe everybody take a personal inventory. What makes up most of your time and energy? Because is it really that important? I don't know. That's up for you to decide, right? Not me. And the third thing is I think that we aren't going to make the right decisions until we all start really paying more attention to emotional intelligence, and the soft skills matter most. I don't know why
Yes.
forever in humanity we have valued intellect, and intellect is good, don't get me wrong, but why don't we value compassion? Why do we think of
Empathy.
that as foofy? And even like in the business world, geez, you're on LinkedIn, it's a totally different vibe than when you're over here on Facebook. But we don't value these deeply reflective and emotional
Yes.
intelligence pieces. And
Yes.
so how much time in your day do you allow yourself any sort of reflection? Whether it's, a time of devotional, or a time to just
Yes.
really think, to time to dream, time to, ponder deeper subjects. And not everybody's into it. I get it, because I'm that, Pisces wandering poet soul who just wants to,
Romantic.
write roomy like poetry.
Yeah.
And I have a very romantic, out of touch sense at times. But
Me too.
part of
Me
the
too.
other part of me goes, stay grounded, stay here, stay on the
Yeah.
planet. But when we don't give ourselves time to reflect, to appreciate the subtle, everything doesn't have to be fast. And one of the things the pandemic has given us is, for a lot of us, it put us back in touch with just
That's
enjoying the
right.
sound of birds in our trees.
Amen.
Porch talks with my husband. Those never happened when I was on the road back to back. Just sitting out on our back deck and watching the squirrel eat peanuts out of the little bin we put out for them. So much joy there. And, I think those are the delicious pieces of being human, not getting through our email more quickly, not making sure our groceries are ordered. What do we really care about? And are we, again, this whole thing about, are we sacrificing our birthright as human beings for this bowl of soup? I don't think
And
it's worth it.
that's the truth of it right there. And I think that's such a deep statement, that it's not something you can really think about. You have to feel about. And one of the pieces that you've brought here into light is that I want to say this has been a profound conversation. And my heart is up in my throat, because it's vastly different than what I thought was going to happen. And it's so important. It's so important to have this, because sometimes we're all sold the dream, and from lifetimes, we were all sold the dream of convenience. And we're sold this: make it faster, make it quicker, make it better, make it cheaper, faster, quicker, better, cheaper, quite faster. And the subtleties of being caught up in that kind of consumerism, that all these devices and gadgets are going to make our life better.
Right.
When that isn't true, that the basic goodness of just simply listening to the birds and being with yourself. Every single morning when I get up, I have this routine that I go through, and I've just done it for years. The first thing I do is that spiritual alignment, because every day I want to be in service intentionally. And so that to me is a big deal. I'm not a big fan of all things technology. I'm not. And I have discernment about some things that I think are not going to be good for me or good for the future. But I also have the knowledge base. And the thing that I think hurts the most is how I see technology erasing individuality, erasing. It's like, one of the things that is great about being human is creativity. It's your individuality. It's the part of you that can draw a beautiful picture, make that roomy poem that you were talking about. I think that fundamental ability to create a great meal and make a bunch of people around the table happy to be with you and happy to be laughing and enjoying each other's company and being with you. Those fundamental basic things that are human is this part of why the pandemic is so important right now. Those are the things that we take for granted. But it reminds us that the future isn't about the technology you hold, but the connection you have with people. People are the relationships they have and what they create together. And today we have created a bridge between discernment and technology. And I don't want that bridge to break with you. This is a very fortunate moment in time that we got to talk about this. My hair is standing up, and I know the divine created this for me. Tamara, your inspiration today has been absolutely amazing. And I am so fortunate that you have graced us with this and graced us with this information and this knowing. And all I can say in my reflection in myself is thank you for reminding me that I am part of the conversation. Thank you for reminding me that I am responsible for what happens in the world too, because I am here. And thank you for reminding me that being human is as important as anything else there. Just thank you for being here with me so much.
Oh, thank you
I
so
really,
very
really
much.
appreciate it so much.
And
You guys, thank
I
you
was
for
gonna-
being with us. Go
I was
ahead.
going to say, anybody that joined us that's really interested in this conversation, since absolutely
Yes.
my life,
How can they keep
my
contact
life
with you?
is invested in this. I would love to stay connected, here on
Yes,
Facebook.
yes.
But when I start school in the fall, I probably will be using, I probably won't be able to get to all the platforms like I can now. But I will be using LinkedIn quite a bit, just because it's the best place for research and things like that. Not everybody on my Facebook cares about all the research going on, but so if we're not connected on LinkedIn, I'd love to connect with you over there.
Yep.
And I am going to start. Candy's going to go, "Uh-oh, you didn't say this," but
say it, girlfriend.
I am. So I'm redoing my website. It's under construction right now because of how I want it to be. Is I really want it to be more of a place where I can post all of the things I'm learning when I'm at Harvard and not have to worry about, there's haters on social media.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to post stuff and get a bunch of haters and
feel
deal with stuff like that, because these are sensitive topics I'm talking about.
Yeah, they are.
So I'm going to start a website that's mine that'll have a community aspect to it where I can post the research. I can post what I'm learning. We can have, adult conversations without attacking one another and, just be more informed. But that's what my hope is. So if anybody is interested in that, you should definitely let me know, because I would love to make sure I let you know when Candy will say when we actually have the new site up.
I'm sorry, Candy, but it's great news. I'm so excited about that. Listen, you want to stay in contact with her. Friend, go to LinkedIn. We're hooked up there. We're hooked up on Facebook. Do yourself a favor. This is, in my opinion, one of the top 3 conversations that needs to be had about the future of humanity. Climate change, food, and AI. Those are the top right there. And Tamara, I am absolutely humbled that you were here. Thank you so much for being here. You've got so many people over here that are saying thank you. And they're literally, I stopped it. I hear this, yes, yes, yes. Thank you. Brilliant conversation. Wow, ladies. This is the future right here. And Tamara, you are just such an incredible leader. I can't tell you how I'm just so moved right now. You guys, thank you for being here. Thank you. Mwah. All right. See you guys later.